All right, hello, good sirs. Yeah, today I've got. Oh shit! I didn't mute my own stream so I could hear it. Oh no, where's it coming from? Already a disaster. Where is that coming from? Oh no, there it is. All right, sort of technical difficulties, but that's par for the course. Hello, good sirs. I am 3-4, the host, and I'm here with very special guest Ryan Rodger Athay.
You got my name right. Thank you very much for having me. It's great to be here, and it's great to see all you wonderful people in the chat and those lurkers. We love our lurkers, don't we? Although I am in an ecosystem I've never been in before, so it's very interesting.
Yeah,
What
you
is a jitsi?
a
What is
Jitsi.
a jitsi?
Well, Jitsy's just like I said before. It's sort of like Zoom,
Oh,
the website or like Skype, but it doesn't make it need any accounts, so it's sort of good. I sort of
oh.
like it, so you don't have to like go, oh, what's your Discord account, what's your Skype account, what's your
Hmm.
Zoom name or whatever. Especially like when they like, I hate it when you have to sign up for things and they ask for like your phone number and stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's sort of sus.
Oh.
So this one you don't have to like give them anything, and you can just do voice calls, which is pretty epic.
Hmm.
But yeah, anyways, we're not here to talk about my video conference software. We're here to do an epic interview with guest Ryan Rodger Athay. So Ryan, I think that the content you do is sort of like it's sort of unique, and you do a very, very high volume of videos. So,
Hmm.
for example, your videos, my thoughts on, subject
Hmm.
X. You take viewer suggestions. Look by the looks of it. I assume.
Hmm.
Do you sometimes just pick your own one, or is it usually viewer
Yes.
suggestion?
It's mainly three playlists, folks, that my videos are consisting of. My thoughts directly from me, suggestion videos from you great guys in the audience, and Rising Stars videos. Those three main playlists, they are the vast majority of my videos. We do get some other unique topics, but it's mostly those three.
Yeah, and the other one was like, what was it? Gone for not forgotten.
Yes, that's to commemorate
Yeah.
the dead. Bloopers. We also have bloopers.
Well, we had bloopers before, basically exactly when this started, so you're not alone on that front. But yeah, no, it's quite interesting. You do a very high
Mm.
volume of videos, usually between like what, like 3 or 4, sometimes more videos a day.
Yes. For 2023, ladies and gentlemen, I've decided to relax a lot more. I believe the record amount of videos I've made in a day was 12,
Yeah,
and
that's quite a lot.
I believe that was in April of 2022. But you have to understand, folks. 10 videos at about 5 minutes each. That's about 50 minutes worth of content. That's equivalent to a 50-minute live stream. So live streamers out there, you make a lot more content than content creators do.
Well, I guess that's just the video itself. For
Mm.
example, like with your my thoughts on, because they're usually like viewer suggestions, right?
Hmm.
I've actually been sort of interested in this. What is usually like your research process when you get a viewer
Oh.
suggestion? For example, you go, I am not aware of this creator, or if you do know him, I was aware before the
Mm.
suggestion of X. So what is usually your research when you hear about someone new, like I don't know, what's one you did recently, like Bronx Beats, your
Mm.
Bronx Beats video. I think you actually did know him because he did a suggestion before, but
Yes,
like
yes,
when
he
you go,
was a
oh, sorry, you go.
he- well, he was a suggester, and I thought, well, let's check out where we can find this guy on very uh, varied social media platforms: YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We run a detailed analysis. We go through what a creator has done, and then we give our thoughts about it. It's not the easiest of processes, but I think it's quite rewarding. You find the person that the suggester has asked you to talk about. You go through their record, as it were. You check out their statistics on Social Blade, and if there are any irregularities, such as content deletions, then you highlight that as suspicious, because when creators get rid of videos, there's no smoke without fire in that regard. Or if a creator grows excessively, but then just stagnates completely, that's a sign that they've bought and paid for subscribers. So it's always nice to get to know fellow creators. For the most part, it's positive. Sometimes it's negative. And if I give you a negative review, that's saying something, because I like giving people the benefit of the doubt. I try my best to. Nobody's perfect. We're only human, after all. But yeah, I keep on going, and hopefully I keep on growing. I went from 52 subscribers at the beginning of 2022 to over 1,300. I don't expect that kind of growth in 2023, but it's not about growing. It's about speaking your mind, learning new things, experiencing new things, and yeah, keep on going,
Yeah.
basically.
Well, speaking
Mm.
of your negative reviews, I think one of the ones that people sort of took note of, especially, was the
Mhm.
Mormon Shaggy one, which I thought was sort of
Mm.
funny because the dude sort of spazzed out. I've never seen it
Well, it's
before
not.
on any of your
It's
videos. He just went nuts.
it's not the only negative review I've done, because I've given my thoughts on creators that I don't really enjoy watching, such as the hungry fat chick. She's basically eating herself to death for views and
Which
subscribers.
one? There's lots of those.
I think her IRL name is Candy Go Diva, which is quite the name. She's a nice enough person. It's just what she does as a creator I don't agree with. But Mormon Shaggy isn't even in the top 10 of creators I dislike. He's not. He's just a fellow creator who likes to speak his mind. He's far from perfect, but he is who he is. I've got nothing against the man personally. He's just trying to live his life. But he was suggested to me. I gave my thoughts about him and went from there. Doesn't matter if it gets a handful of views or 100 views or 1,000 views. It's just my thoughts, and I move on, quite simply.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, hopefully Shaggy sees that and he stops like making half an hour long videos about how you like work for some other idiot or something like that. It's very
I wish
bizarre.
I were. My good man, I wish I got paid for giving my thoughts. If I was paid £1 or $1, just to use an American example, if I got paid $1 for every video I did, Christ, I'd be able to afford new technology, new lighting that didn't give me the occasional headache, a better microphone, and have a completely different setup. I can assure everyone that I don't work for anyone. I barely work for myself. So
You'd be able to finally replace your CTR TV with like an LCD flat screen.
no, I have this thing, and it's just outside of camera view, folks. But I have this television because I've had it since I was a boy. It's for sentimental reasons, and I thought, why not liven up the background, as it were. That's why you got all these DVDs. We used to have videotapes as well, but we put them back here for storage purposes. But it's a way of being unique. It's doing the best you can in the situation you are in, and going from there. It takes all sorts to be a creator, and well, if we don't hang together, the establishment will hang us separately.
Very well said. And
Mm.
I've been thinking about this. I'm sure this is on a lot of people's mind. Does the CRT
Mhm.
TV actually work?
Well, I plug it in, switch it on, and it does work. The VHS or VCR player that's built into it doesn't really work that well, but it does work. You can watch things on there, but why waste the electricity, especially in this day and age? So I just use it as a background prop,
Yeah,
nothing more.
I have heard about the power prices, the price of
Mhm.
electricity in the UK. That is a good point.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean that's pretty good. So
Mm.
yeah, apparently, like you do give negative reviews. Also, you did one for like Shotty for Christ or whatever her name is, and she's just like a legit
Mm.
like mental person. So I
Yes.
guess that sort of makes
He's
sense.
basically a pig.
Yeah.
Talking pig. Nothing more.
Yeah, very bizarre person. So, when you first got started, I mean, I think it says in your channel description, right? So it says
Mhm.
you had like a first run in 2022 to early 2021. And someone that came up.
I think it was late 2020, early 2021 when I tried my best to to start using what limited tech I had at the time. I was using a Windows phone with a cracked front camera as a as a camera. Wasn't that good. There was one time that I used a PS3 camera to make videos, but that wasn't good either. I was just trying my best to start as a creator. And that's the most difficult part, folks. It's starting to speak your mind or to do things you enjoy in front of a camera. And it failed. I didn't get a lot of traction, didn't get a lot of viewership. I ran out of things to talk about, so I faded away and came back with the second run on October the 28th, 2021, to give my thoughts on a bus strike in my local area, starting at 37 subscribers and going from there for a few months up to January the 1st, 2022, where I got to 52 subscribers. And I just kept on being persistent, and I am where I am today. Made well over 1,000 videos in 2022. And thankfully, I've got over 1,300 subscribers, which is incredible. Never thought I'd get past 1,000, ever. Didn't matter how long I thought I was going to do this. I never thought I'd get to 1,000.
Well, I'm glad you had surpassed that. So I assume your first run, was it similar to the sort of content that you make now, but just with like a really crappy phone?
Well, it was just my thoughts.
Oh,
We didn't really have suggestion videos because we didn't have a large enough audience to talk about them. And Rising Stars had not yet been conceived. Rising Stars actually was first conceived after my first big spike in early February of 2022, when Tyrone Magnus, a very prominent creator, shared my thoughts about him. And I managed to get good 4,000 or 5,000 views from that video. And when I thanked him for it in another video, that got another 4,000 or 5,000 views. So I went from 78, 79 subscribers to about 280 subscribers in about 2 days. And that's when I thought, well, we've got our big break. Let's go from there. And here we are.
Yeah, you do have some videos. If you go to like your channel and go by most popular, you've got a couple that like have gone well past 1,000 views, which is pretty crazy. When you do a video, can you sort of expect which ones are only going to get like a couple dozen views compared to like 1,000 views, or just sort of random and unexpected when it happens?
Well, that's the thing about quantity. It makes up for the lack of quality. It's just me speaking my mind in front of a script that I can barely read, surrounded by damn lights that give me the occasional headache. But I do try my best, despite my limited abilities. There are bloopers, so many bloopers that they have their own blooper fests. But it's because of fellow creators and creator enterprises that I am where I am today. Of course, Tyrone Magnus shared my thoughts about him, and America's largest mental health and well-being YouTube channel, Psych2Go, shared my thoughts about them. So we can all rise together if we understand that we can do more as a solid community than we can by ripping each other to bits. Because the establishment, the people in power, whether it's big government or big corporations, they don't want any of us to have a voice. Doesn't matter if you have the support of hundreds of millions, tens of millions, millions, hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands, or thousands or hundreds. Every voice is a potential threat to their power. And that is why I think it is best that we all hang together, despite our differences, and our differences are vast. So there you go.
Yeah, well said, well said. Well, I think you've mentioned this before on your live streams and whatnot and your videos about channel suppression. Like, what's your experience with channel suppression been, I guess, in relation to you, for example?
Oh, for me, I've experienced channel suppression, especially when starting live streaming with reality based. We've done about, how many episodes have we done? From episode 0 in mid-September to, I think we're on 44, maybe 45. I've lost count. I don't have the best of memory. That's why we have a filing system. But I've experienced channel suppression, especially as a live streamer, because, well, I speak my mind, and sometimes those in power do not like that. That's why, folks, you can tell there's channel suppression when you gain a couple of subscribers and then you lose them in a few hours, and then you suddenly gain them back unexpectedly. I've even experienced comment suppression, in which StreamYard has showed me more comments on live streams than YouTube themselves. So it is real. It's as real as Israel, as I like to say. Depending on your perspective, that can mean different things. Wink, wink, nod, nod. But I will say that channel suppression is real. Independent content creators experience this far more than creator enterprises or creator-based corporations that have become so massive that they have essentially become part of the establishment in a way. They're a business model. They operate on profits and losses, that sort of thing. But look, that's why networking is so important, so that fellow creators can get together, pool their respective communities, and grow as a result. And hopefully, we all enjoy what each other has to offer.
Good point. Good point.
Mm.
Yeah, I think with that comment thing, you can actually see it because it happens all the time. You put your comment in, but like in the YouTube chat, but it looks like it goes through for the end user. But then if
Mm.
you switch, like on the tab, it's live chat and top chat. If you switch between like top chat to live chat, you'll see the
Hmm.
message is gone. Like it happens quite a lot. So that's how I usually check if you say something controversial, like for a while, I don't know, like if you say something like I think like the word gay or something, or if you use
Mm.
like, some slurs or whatever, some of them go through, but some don't. It's sort of weird to try to figure out what actually
It's
goes through.
inconsistent. It's
Yeah.
inconsistent. That's what happens when you allow algorithms to control policy. Look,
Yeah, and that's why you always have to have
men
it
are
on live chat.
men
Oh, sorry, you go.
and women are women. I got a warning for pointing that fact out on YouTube, and I still have that warning because I called a biological man who competed in a women's swimming sport a man. It's quite simple. Biological reality is against YouTube's rules now because I got punished for it.
Mate, you could say a biological
Mm,
reality is reality
mm,
based.
The truth is reality based too. It's like Aristotle and Plato are having a battle in our world between objective reality, which is the principles of Aristotle, and what I like to call mental being, which is the Platonic idea of the world of forms, that nothing physical is real, that the ideal of what they are, that is what truly makes something what it is. My goodness, talk about philosophy, folks. You talk about a rabbit hole as well.
uh But yeah, no, that's why I think when you use yards, it's all right. But when you're actually on
Mm.
YouTube and looking at the chat, you have to always make sure to put it to live chat because top
Oh.
chat has stricter filtering and like censorship than live chat. And for some reason, YouTube, I guess it's on purpose, always defaults to top chat. So
Hmm.
that's why there's the two options there. Like top chat's the more censored chat, but live chat, it's still censored. They're still censoring it. You can't say like every single word or whatever, or some things. It's sort of bizarre to try to figure out what actually gets banned or not.
It's a damn shame because people should be able to speak their mind. And it builds character, especially if you're criticized, ladies and gentlemen. And if you don't like what someone is saying, well, if you're going to vent, vent in your own time, vent privately. If you vent publicly, people are obviously going to laugh at you and they will make entertaining and informative content as a result. And fellow creators have done that with those who are worthy of condemnation and criticism. Look at Cyrax, for example.
Hmm.
That man is a living joke. He is, what's the word I'm looking for? He's projection personified. Everything he calls other people, he is himself. He looks like something out of fucking Silent Hill or Resident Evil.
Yeah, I think that description is pretty apt for also people like Mormon Shaggy who just like to spurg out
Mm,
and spaz out
mm.
like in front of the whole world on their live streams. It's
Yeah,
pretty crazy.
if you're annoyed by what a fellow creator has said, then vent privately and, and then condemn the criticism publicly in an articulate way. That way, no one can capitalize on your embarrassment, and content cannot be a result of it, quite simply. Hmm.
Fair enough. So with your reality based, that came a bit later after you're
Hmm.
sharing your thoughts and your Rising Stars series. What made you try to get into the more sort of live interview? Or what made you try to like do live interviews as content compared to, your pre-recorded, I'm going to share my thoughts
Mhm.
for, 5 minutes compared to like, an hour, 2 hour long interview? Like what made you do that jump?
Origin stories. I wanted to know the origins of fellow creators, especially more prominent creators whose origin stories they may be known publicly, but it takes a while to delve into how they started, their pitfalls, that sort of thing. So I thought it would be good for viewers and fellow creators to know the origin stories of the host, myself, as well as guests. And we've had many great guests on, at least once, sometimes twice. I think a few 3 times or 4 times, depending on how long we can have them. Sometimes shows are on for an hour, but most of the time it's about an hour and a half to 2 hours. So I wanted to know how fellow creators started doing what they are doing currently, because the more you know, the better, folks. There's nothing like openness, honesty, and transparency. Unlike the establishment who always hide behind closed doors, they cover up, they censor, and we must be the opposite of that if we are to succeed in making our world great again, as it were. So that's mainly the reason. The first time we have someone on is to go through their origins and happenings. The second time we have them on, we talk about the things we enjoy. And then future episodes, we talk about the topics of the day and discuss. So, yeah, that's why reality based is what it is today.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Our Warriors in the chat saying, let the audience give questions. I'll do that at the end. I'll
Sure.
do audience questions towards the end. But I have a couple more things I want to ask.
Mhm.
I actually should have asked this to start off with, but you sort of brought it back
Oh.
up again. What actually was your
Mhm.
beginning? So what actually made you start with your Windows phone, giving your thoughts on stuff? What was sort of the inspiration for that?
Well, the main inspiration behind my first run was the fact that I was sick and tired of the way our world was going, especially during the time of the pandemic. I remember the first day of hard lockdown in the United Kingdom. Everything was shut. Even the shops, the food shops were closed early, for goodness sake. Everything was just deserted. Everyone had gone into a panic. And I had first heard about that situation as far back as December of 2019, because a very prominent creator by the name of Stefan Molyneux, who has now been banned from YouTube and Twitter and many sites of that sort, he did a documentary in Hong Kong about their fight for freedom, and he had heard rumors of an emerging virus in that part of the world. So I had tried my best to prepare early for such an event that, looking back, was probably blown out of proportions. But yeah, I was annoyed by the way things were changing. Gas was a lot cheaper, though. I remember in April of 2020 seeing you Yankees, Dixies, and Callies call it gas prices, but I remember seeing petrol and diesel prices at just above £1, which I believe is like, oof, how much is that in American dollars? £1 a liter.
I don't know,
So yeah, about
dollar
80,
dollar
90
fifty.
cents a
Yeah,
liter.
yeah, fair enough.
It,
Oh wait, it would be the other way
it's
around. Yeah.
it would, yes. Don't worry. We all make mistakes, especially in front of a live audience. But it was just so dystopian. So I thought I'd be best to speak my mind about all the madness that's going on in the world, But I didn't have a lot of coins, still don't. And my level of technological awareness is not the best. So it was like sleepwalking through the dark, not knowing where you are, what you're doing. And thankfully, I am where I am today. Just got to be persistent. Have low expectations. Don't think you're going to do well or become prominent. Uh, Look, I could do this for the next 10, 20 years. I'll be lucky if I get to 10,000 or 20,000 subscribers. 1,000 a year would be unbelievable for me. But if I stay where I am currently, which is about 1,330, maybe 1,340 subscribers, that's fine by me.
Well, like you said,
So,
if you
yeah.
keep on going, surely you'll keep on growing.
Well, hopefully. Hopefully.
If you don't get like banned completely, I don't know, by
Hmm.
YouTube.
But it's all right. You can always start again, different name, different
Yeah, just make
face,
another
different
channel.
voice. Hmm. I am a voice changer. Hmm.
I don't think they
I have
care.
that ability.
Yeah, I don't think it. I don't think YouTube cares too much because I've seen people do it. They get banned from YouTube, then just make another account. It doesn't seem like it's like
Hmm.
ban evasion's actually enforced at all
No,
on YouTube, which is a
it's
good thing.
inconsistent.
Yeah,
It's an inconsistent system because YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, social media was never designed to be regulated. The internet was never designed to be regulated. It was designed to give people the freedom that the establishment denied them. And if those companies and if that platform could make money by bombarding you with advertisements, so much the better. It was a win-win situation. People could speak their minds in exchange for ad revenue for those companies and for those platforms. So no wonder they're having difficulty censoring people, and it's only getting bigger and bigger and bigger, especially in the developing world. That's why the establishment is pressing for the metaverse. The metaverse is a digital prison. Reject the internet and embrace the metaverse so that they can control what everyone can say all of the time.
I don't know. Does anyone actually use the metaverse? I don't think I've ever like met or like seen or talked to a person that actually uses that.
Well, if it bombs, I tell you, Third, if it bombs, it could bring the destruction of the Meta Corporation, an end to Facebook and Instagram, maybe the end to WhatsApp as well. So if the metaverse idea really does fall flat on its ass, it would be one of the greatest victories for what I like to call the alliance of alternatives. People like us, creators and creator enterprises, who like to speak our minds. Because those tech giants, they just want to make money off creators, and if those creators are remotely controversial, they're thrown under the bus. So if Meta falls, if the metaverse idea falls, it's definitely a win. Mm.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the thing is, like with metaverse and Facebook, it's like impossible to be like, well, that's not impossible, but it's designed that you're actually meant to link it up with like your real identity. And there's just got to be a lot of people that don't want to do that. Like, that's the whole reason, like,
No.
I myself or whatever, and a lot of people don't use Facebook is because they don't actually
Mm.
want their real identities being up online or whatever for everyone to see. So that's why at least like
I
YouTube.
am who I am. Mm?
Sorry, you go.
I, personally, no, but personally, I am who I am because I couldn't really come up with a creator name or a creator emblem, so I just called myself myself. My thoughts are my own, and it's been a great help for me personally to speak my mind, to have an outlet, to highlight the problem, so that either myself or fellow creators or viewers can find a solution to that problem. And the problem is, folks, we are living in a world where freedom is dying and tyranny is rising everywhere in media, in entertainment, and in politics. Highlighting that problem could inspire people to find a solution. And there are plenty of solutions out there, folks, but some of them are messier than others.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the
Mm.
thing is also, at least with like Facebook, if it does
Mhm.
collapse, I just wonder if would just Elon Musk buy it? Like, who knows?
Well, most of those companies, except for maybe Amazon, have a lot of their value tied up in stocks and shares. So anytime there's a deep market plunge, their valuation goes through the floor. So yeah, Meta is losing a lot of money, but they're gambling everything on the metaverse concept being hugely financially successful. But
Yeah.
so long as we put grains of doubt into the minds of the people, it will never be a success because it is literally a matrix world in a sort. You're basically plugging yourself into the matrix.
Yeah, Tree Master Bob says something interesting here. He says, Metaverse
Oh,
just seems
sure.
like that PlayStation Home was from a decade ago. That kind of shit is easily forgotten. Yeah, I remember that. That whole thing was sort of stupid. I think Xbox actually had like a similar one as well. It was like
Hmm.
this weird like hub thing. But I think like after a year, no one used it, so they just gave up. But it
Hmm.
does seem like I don't know why. Like,
Lots of
Zuckerberg.
companies are investing in their own metaverses. Hundreds of billions of dollars are going into this, from Meta themselves to Microsoft, Google. They're all trying to push to break through and to become the popular one because it is believed that trillions of dollars will be made off of the metaverse concept. Hopefully, it's like nuclear fusion. They say it's going to happen in a decade, but it doesn't come in a century, that sort of thing.
Yeah, also the thing with Metaverse, I don't know like how much it actually has to do with VR, but like if you ever wore like a VR headset, they're not really that
Mm,
comfortable. So
mm.
like you sort of get sick of it after wearing it for like 20 minutes. At least that's what I think anyway.
Maybe it's for the new generation.
Yeah, I guess
Maybe
so.
that's what they're gambling on. They're gambling that the indoctrination is so ingrained in the education system, in media, and in entertainment that the new generation of recently born and unborn people will swallow this bullshit hook, line, and sinker. And I don't think that will happen. I don't.
I don't really think it
Some
will either.
will, but not all.
But
Mm.
yeah, I just think the biggest barrier to the metaverse actually working is that VR headsets are actually sort of uncomfortable to wear. And so unless they change that, like it
Like
really is
Ready
not.
Player One.
Yeah,
They need to basically be sunglasses with a thick strap around the back. But the technology is getting there. It's expensive, but it is getting there.
yeah, I guess we'll have to see. I mean, it's sort
Mm.
of weird. I remember what was it like the Oculus Rift? That shit started as like a Kickstarter, right? And then it got bought
Mm.
out by Facebook, and now like you have to have a Facebook account to actually use like your VR headsets that you bought via like this Kickstarter, 10, well, probably, I don't know, maybe it is actually like 10 years ago at this point.
Mm. What's going to happen in 10 years' time?
Yeah, I guess so.
If it goes from a Kickstarter to being where it is today, pace of technology is only getting faster, folks. Worst case scenario, we're taking on Asimov's and Atlas bots and Elon Musk's Optimus bots in a conventional war. Hmm.
Yeah, exactly. So I've been meaning to ask this.
Mhm.
Out of your big stack of DVDs behind you, which ones are your top three DVDs?
Oh, well, the top two are actually not on this shelf. The top two are actually right down here, and they're the Star Wars films, ladies and gentlemen. If I can just get them out of this shelf, because my room
Star
is
Wars
very
Episode
cluttered.
1, everyone's
Here they
favorite.
are. There's the prequels that I grew up with, and here are the originals, which I really did enjoy. Great films, the only Star Wars films to ever be made, and I really do enjoy them so much that I won't risk them being up there to potentially fall down, because this did fall on me once, folks. That was very funny. That was very funny, and hopefully people found it entertaining.
Was that
But
on a live
oh
stream?
no, oh no, that was in a pre-recorded video. I was asked, could not could, but did this reach the ceiling? And I said no, but it might. So I spent about 5 minutes while the camera was on, creating this massive big tower that could go up to the ceiling. And I did it. And then as I sat down and said, I think I've done it, the damn thing fell on me. And I was laughing at the end simply because of the fact that the laptop I had at the time, which wasn't mine, was fixed. I borrowed it from a good friend of mine. Not fixed. It was not broken. So that's why I ended the video by laughing. But if that laptop had broken down, that could have been the end right then and there.
Yeah,
But thankfully, I got lucky.
well, gravity's a bitch.
Mm.
You have to curse Newton for inventing it. So, when the DVDs fell on you, did you try to sue the DVD producers for your own mishap? Because it was obviously the
No,
DVD's fault.
no, of course
Because they
not.
didn't put a warning label on the DVD. Warning, do not stack to ceiling. You didn't try to sue the DVD producers for $1 million.
But I thought it was very entertaining. I nearly fell off my chair a few times trying to stack them all up. But it really does take all sorts to be a creator, and some videos are very generic, very samey, as it were, while as others are very unique. Because I'm a content creator. I do my best to make videos, speak my mind, and go from there. And it's doing well so far, and hopefully I'll be doing this into the 2030s, the 2040s, the 2050s, and maybe retire sometime in the 2060s. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see. Well, we'll see how long you do keep on going. Oh, I don't know. Maybe the whole internet would have been blown up in like a, Skynet apocalypse by that point. Maybe Metaverse would have taken over. But I'm going to assume you probably don't have a cat then, because a cat would be trying to jump on that tower of DVDs and thing would be falling over every like second day.
No, I don't. I don't have a cat. I don't like. I don't really like having animals in the house, mainly because, well, they may be nice on an emotional level, especially if you're bleeding heart, ladies and gentlemen, or if you're lonely. But for me personally, they're a needless emotional burden. I know that sounds cold, but when you have a tight schedule, you don't have a lot of time for cats and dogs.
Oh, I don't know. I'm going to do a hard disagree there. I'm going to say cats and dogs are
Oh.
based. But we can agree to disagree.
Exactly, exactly.
Anyways, so that's pretty funny. I guess I'll have to try to find that clip where it falls over. If I don't know if someone in chat can find it, I'll bring it up because I'm sure it's very hilarious.
Sure. Sure. I don't take myself too seriously, folks. If you want to criticize me, feel free to. I'm far from perfect. I just try my best. I look twice my age. I'm 23 years old. But yeah, I am what I am, and so be it. If you like it, good. If you don't, even better.
So I'm going to ask a very important question now. I asked a
Sure.
couple people yesterday. I'm like, oh, I'm going to interview Ryan Rodger Athay. What should I ask him? The most pressing question people wanted me to ask was, Ryan Rodger Athay, are you a Time Lord?
No, no. I wish I had time travel, folks. I'd probably change quite a bit, especially over the past, how long has it been? 50, 60 years? My goodness, folks, a lot of fuck ups have been made to get us where we are today. Who knows what will happen by the end of the century? Hopefully, I live to the end of the century. I know it's a bit of a stretch. I was born in 1999. Will I make it to 2100? Who knows? But I can assure you, I'm not a time traveler, because if I did travel from the past to the future, I'd go back to the past and try to make sure this damn future never happened.
Go back to the past and just stay there.
That too, but I value the the future generations. And folks, a lot has changed in 100 years. Compare 1900 to 2000. How much has changed? How many nations of 1900 have survived to the present day? Some have, others haven't. Imagine what the change will be from 2000 to 2100. If we
Mm.
keep going like this, it's going to be insane.
Yeah, well, we will see.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I've sort of asked mostly what I want to ask. So if
Oh.
the viewers have any ideas for questions, post them in chat. I'll be sure to ask Ryan them. But
Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot see the chat because I'm using a system that I've not used before. But yeah, questions are always welcome, and I will try my best to answer them and not be a politician.
well, I don't think I'm going to ask that one, Bronx Beats. Bronx Beats says, "What's your bank account?" So,
You have a bank account? What's that?
oh, you got deplatform. You got deplatform from your bank from being too epic.
Hey, the best way to never get canceled, folks, it's quite simple. Don't make it about money.
Yeah,
If you
exactly,
don't have a budget, how can you be canceled?
exactly right.
Mhm.
Well, actually, I was going to ask this earlier, like because we're talking about Facebook and like internet
Mm.
like anonymity before. Like, have you
Mm.
just because I thought it was crazy? Did you see what was it, Jordan Peterson's like
Oh,
weird spurg out
yeah.
about like anonymous trolls
He
and stuff like
cannot
that? That was just
deal.
bizarre.
Jordan Peterson, folks, he's an intellectual behemoth on an academic level. He's not an intellectual behemoth on an emotional level, and certainly not on the level of the internet culture and the art of the troll. That man is very easy to troll, quite simply. And that's why he wants to get rid of online anonymity so that the so called trolls have nowhere to hide. It's easy to take the piss out of the man. And if he finds it offensive, he will try to get you canceled in one way or another.
Yeah,
It Some people can be very intelligent in one sense but not in another, and I found with Dr. Jordan Peterson, he is very intelligent academically, but he is not nearly as intelligent in regards to emotional intelligence, and he's not intelligent at all when it comes to internet culture and the art of the troll, at least in my view, because he's never been in that ecosystem. He came from a working class background, got into the academic background, and learned the ways of the academic background. I mean, when the internet became as it is today, he was doing lectures with university students. So, yeah.
I mean, I sort of always thought like Peterson seemed to a couple of years ago sort of went off the deep end because he got like addicted to benzos or something, so like quite a bad
Mm,
drug addiction. Then you sort of see
yep.
that and you're like, isn't this the guy that's like giving people like life advice? You'd think like not being a drug addict
Mm.
would be, part of his, 12 rules for life.
Every,
That should be like rule number one.
mm. Every creator has their time to shine, third, but every creator falls. Because one price you have to pay for consistency and dedication is the potential for burnout. That man was doing tours here, there, everywhere. That kind of international travel can wear out even the most enduring person. And he was ill before he, blew up over Bill C-16 that first brought him into prominence. Ugh, I'm stuttering. My goodness. A blooper. But before he came into prominence, he was ill. You could see it. He was physically ill and underweight. So he had been dealing with health issues, travel issues, going from place to place. He was bound to snap. And that's the great thing about analyzing creators, folks. Doesn't matter if they have thousands or millions of supporters. You can highlight what works, you can highlight what doesn't, and it is best to learn from the experiences of others. Why? Because they risk it all, you risk nothing. They get no rewards, but you get all of them because you learn from their mistakes. It's quite
Uh,
simple.
I think Peterson was getting quite a bit of money, so I wouldn't say he didn't get no rewards,
Absolutely.
to be fair. Well, anyways, we got some
And
questions.
now he signed a death contract with the Daily Wire. So
Oh, that's the other thing that happened recently. Yeah, you
Mhm.
basically had Steven Crowder breaking the conditioning and going like, "Nah,
Yep.
this contract's stupid." Like,
Yeah, it's a
uh,
creator enterprise. Stephen Crowder, a very large creator based enterprise, against a creator based corporation in the Daily Wire that has basically become not part of the establishment in terms of structure, but in modeling in how it's modeled, these negotiations. It's just business. It's just business.
Yeah.
Well, most content creators are not business people. So, yeah, hang together or be hanged separately. But if questions need to be answered, please go ahead and ask them.
Yeah, I was about to say that. We've had a couple questions come in.
Mm.
So,
Sure,
Warriors of the
sure.
Shire asks, what
Oh.
video games does Ryan like?
Well, it's very difficult for me personally because I have an Xbox One, so good games are hard to come by. But for me, it's role playing games. Games like The Witcher 3, Dragon Age Inquisition. Starfield is coming out pretty soon. Fallout. I didn't really like Fallout 3, but I enjoyed Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 4. Those kind of
Hmm.
games where you go on an adventure, tackle problems, that sort of thing. Never really got into tabletop role playing games. That was a bit before my time. But yeah, I've had a PlayStation 2, a PlayStation 3, an Xbox 360, PS4, then an Xbox One because it had many features that was good for a content creator compared to the PS4, but it didn't do so well financially because, well, it wasn't games first, and that's why the
Yeah.
PS4 kicked the Xbox One's ass in sales. But those are the kind of games I like playing.
Yeah, well, the thing is with the Xbox One, I remember as it was coming out, they did like some like really like retarded and stupid marketing where they said, "Oh yeah, if you buy the Xbox One, you always have to have it online. If you want to play games offline, stick to the 360." It's like, what sort of stupid marketing is this? And like, it was at a
Mm,
time as well, because Xbox One came out in like what, like 2013? Like a lot of
yeah.
people like didn't have good internet connections back then, and to this day,
Mm,
there are still a lot of people in this world, especially Australians, that have really bad internet.
mm.
So having a
That's why
cons,
the only traditional video game company left, folks, is Sony with the PlayStation. Because Nintendo, ever since the GameCube wasn't a financial success, all of their consoles have been different from mainstream consoles. The Wii, motion control, the Wii U, which tried to put the Wii and the DS together, that failed.
yeah,
And then they tried it again with the Switch and it succeeded. Whereas the Xbox One was not good financially. So the Xbox Series became a thing and they essentially, well, they're Game Pass machines. Game Pass, folks. So it's not really a traditional, conventional games console. So yeah, Sony and PlayStation are the only traditional games console left on the market,
that's a
in
good,
my view.
that's a pretty good point.
Mm.
I don't know. I thought like
Mm.
this, I thought the Switch was all right, but it's mostly like a handheld
Mm.
console, so it was actually good to have like a handheld
Yeah,
console that was actually sort of decent. Okay, well this is
yeah.
a
The Wii U was basically mainly based in a console with a controller, while they basically rewinded that for the Switch, and it seemed to work.
yeah. They basically did. They tried to
Mm.
bring the Wii was yeah. It's literally they tried to do the two screen things like the DS and the 3DS on a console,
Mm.
but that didn't really work because it was sort of stupid. And then actually just making
Exactly.
a console a handheld that you can also put on your
Hmm.
TV pretty easily. People liked it, and I think it's like sold like hotcakes ever since.
Hmm.
I think the Nintendo's handheld consoles usually sell pretty well, so it's not really
Mm.
that surprising.
But where Nintendo goes from here in regards to what do? They do the Switch too,
I think they
basically just
probably
a better
will.
version.
It's
Yeah, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
yeah,
But people will ultimately get tired of it.
yeah, yeah. I think that's probably what they will do. Warriors of the Shire asks,
Oh,
how long do you think it is till Shaggy troons out?
oh, I I don't think I could give you a definite answer, but look, folks, everyone has their time, and everything ends. I won't be a creative forever. Neither will Shaggy. Neither will Third or Warriors of the Shire. We all have our time to shine and become prominent. We all find our peak, and then we all fade away. It's a fact of life. So yes, it is inevitable that Shaggy will have his time if he hasn't had it already. For all I know, he might have already had his time to shine. And he, like me and everyone, will fade away eventually.
Well, this isn't
Hopefully
a.
that was a good enough answer to your question. I'm sorry I couldn't give you a definite 5 years, 10 years, 50 years. I don't know. But yeah, I tried
Well,
my best.
this is a follow-up question. This isn't actually a viewer question, but would you ever have Mormon Shaggy? Would you ever interview him on your reality-based, or is he too
I'd
is he too
happily talk
crazy?
to him. I'd happily talk to him.
I mean,
Talk
if you
about his origins, how he got to where he is today. I have no problem with the man, quite simply. I just gave my thoughts about him as a creator, nothing more.
well, we'll see where that goes, Shaggy.
Mhm.
You're always bitching about the dude. If you want to settle this mono and mono, I don't know, send, I guess just message you on Twitter is usually the way you get in contact with you,
Sure.
right? Yeah. Shaggy, there you
Just a
go,
question of it's just a question of scheduling. I
mate.
mean, I have no problem with the man personally. I just think, well, he's not to my taste as a creator. Nothing
Well,
more, nothing less.
if you do interview him, just be careful because the guy will probably spaz out on you. So just prepared, be
Oh,
prepared for that as like I have warning. All right, where was I?
okay.
I've like only asked like two of the actual questions that the viewers have asked me.
Well,
Uh,
I've got plenty of time. I don't know about you, Third, but I cleared my schedule for the next few hours,
oh,
so
probably wasn't going to go that long. I'll probably go for another half an hour or so. So we'll see.
might be
Uh,
able to get another video done by the end of the day. You never know.
wait, where's the questions at? I like lost it because I scrolled down. Now I need to
Oh,
scroll back up to the top of the questions. Okay,
take
well
your
this
time.
this relates to the Time Lord question. I think that was
Oh,
originally from Ghost of Niccolo as well. So Ghost of Niccolo
oh.
asks, when does Roger invent time travel? So,
Folks, I'm not a scientist. I'm not an engineer. My specialty is actually administration, form filling, file keeping. That's why I'm so well versed in analyzing creators, their origins, and how well they've grown. It's because that's what I studied as a student. How things work, how things should be set up, timing, scheduling, that sort of thing. Mainly around law and legal work, which I spent years studying till I went to university and realized we were all being brainwashed, and I didn't want to partake in that. So I got out and, well, looked for administration work, or at least volunteer work, and go from there. So, no, I'm not a scientist. I'm not an engineer. I'm an administrator.
nah, cool. Okay,
Hmm.
Chad King asks, what's
Oh,
Ryan's? Oh, actually, I guess from there, like, what did you actually study in university? Like accounting,
no, 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 no. Law.
law? Oh, that'd have been a good
Hmm.
one. All right, all good. It takes a while to do that though, wasn't it? Like, I don't know what it is
Hmm.
in the UK, but here it's like a
I, I
5 year
first
course.
started. I first started studying law in secondary school at the age of 13 and
Oh yeah.
continued studying law until my 19th birthday, right at the end of my first year at university. So I did study it for 6 years.
I'm not sure what it's like in the UK, but I think in some countries
Hmm.
like America, you can actually like go and sit the bar, like the actual exam for a lawyer
Oh,
without an actual university degree. I learned that from Better Call Saul, so if that's actually true, I don't know.
oh.
So maybe you could do that in the UK, just literally just sit the law exam and then see if you're a lawyer or not. I don't know if you actually
Hmm.
need to get a degree
That's
or
how
not.
I tried my best to understand the ways of the world through a legal mindset and then from a political mindset because I had to grow up fast. My mother died when I was very young. My father became seriously ill when I was 10 years old. So I had to grow up fast. Didn't really have time for a childhood. Tried my best to party all night and sleep all day when I was a teenager, but it wasn't easy. But I did try my best. And now I'm on the straight and narrow and going from there.
Yeah, cool. Well, Chad King asks, what's Ryan's thoughts on World War II?
Well, folks, one monster was fighting another. The Allies against the Axis. Every nation, every great empire, well, it has blood on its hands. You got to have blood on your hands if you're going to try and conquer a part of the world because people aren't just going to let you take the land. So Thankfully, well, the faction that won was more moral than the faction that didn't. Only just. Basically, we like Britain, United States, we allied with a monster to slay a monster because the the ally we sided with was struggling more, basically. But thankfully, we slayed both of them in the end. Although the one we slayed last, the Soviet Union, laid a giant egg called China. So, yeah. Do you think the other side would have laid a giant egg? Just saying.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I think it's I think it was Charles Lindbergh or something. He's the American,
Mm-hmm.
but he's like,
Mm-hmm.
maybe we shouldn't actually like go to war like with the Germans because it seems like the communists and the Soviet Union are a way bigger threat. But you know,
Yeah.
it's
Pick your
that's why it's
monster.
controversial. So
Yeah. Basically,
it's not
pick your
black and white
monster.
like the media says it is.
Yeah, the establishment doesn't want you to talk about these topics. They don't want you to talk about how a nation went from one of the weakest nations in Europe to one of the strongest in 6 years, which is goddamn incredible when you consider the British and French empires were two of the strongest empires in modern times at that time, and the fact that that nation that went from the weakest to the strongest then whooped the ass of the second biggest empire in the world in a month. We must have been shitting ourselves in the United Kingdom seeing that happen. So of course we allied with a weak monster to destroy a strong monster. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. Where am I up to in my questions?
Hopefully that statement does not get this stream suppressed. Wink, wink, nod, nod.
Well, we'll see. Bronx Beat
Hmm.
says, "Do you really like DJ Axel? Like DJ Axel is sort of a controversial figure in these parts,
Yeah,
as you
Monkey Biz.
maybe."
I enjoy what I enjoy what the channel has to offer. Is he perfect? No, but it takes all sorts to be a creator. Yeah, there are controversies. You step in the wrong place, a landmine blows up your foot. But as a creator, you can actually regrow the foot if you know how to.
Yeah.
So I don't mind what Monkey Biz has done. He's controversial. Of course he's controversial. But more power to him and to
Hmm.
his crew. Because we need all the help we can get. We can disagree, but we're all in the same boat. And if it sinks, we all sink with it. I hope you guys can swim, because I can't.
Well,
So
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, that's fair enough. I mean, my opinion on Monkey Biz is I legit don't like the guy. I think he's sort of an insane piece of shit. So if he sinks, he can sink. I don't care. I'm not going to go save him. But fair enough. Fair enough. We can have different
Hmm.
opinions and still have a discussion.
Well, think
Uh,
of it this way: the same group wants to drown us all.
yeah.
So
Well, okay. So from here, Bronx Beat says, ask about furries. So he doesn't actually say ask
no,
what about furries. So I guess what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on
no,
furries?
I'm not a fan of furries, ladies and gentlemen. They're not for me. They are for some people, but they are not for me. We need less decadence and corruption in our world, especially in the West. And you could say, well, to each their own, but if you know what I mean. That takes tolerance to a whole new level. But then they're not to my taste, folks, but to each their own.
Fair enough. Chad King asked a sort of strange question. Chad King says,
Mhm.
ask him if he would have relations with a woman that wanted to have sex with deers. Seems sort of bizarre. I don't know. The question seems a bit odd, but
No,
it's what the viewers asked. No,
no.
that might be a reference to
There's a
someone.
clear and there's a clear and concise answer. No, bestiality is not a good thing.
Yeah, it's pretty
No.
immoral. I assume that's
Mm.
in reference to someone. Who that is, I'm glad I don't know who that is. Well, Bronx Beats asks, "Are you a furry?" I'm going by your
No,
last answer. That's probably a no.
no, God, no.
I don't know what's up with all these retarded questions, but then Eric the Chump asks, "Ryan, are you wearing a diaper?"
No, Jesus Christ.
I don't know where these people are getting these questions from.
Oh, no, I am not. No.
Fair enough.
Hmm.
Uh,
It's a good thing I don't take myself too seriously.
Treemaster Bob's. Oh no, wait, that's not even a question. He just says Xbox One came out nearly a decade ago. Yeah, I think it did come out
Hmm,
2013, so it's pretty much
yeah.
a decade. I think it came out late
Hmm,
2013, but we're pretty much there
hmm.
now. Warriors says they don't make any new games. I don't think like with the consoles, it seems like no one really does exclusives much anymore. Like
No,
Sony has God of War,
no,
and
it's about expanding. It's about expanding your audience, and ever since the PC and mobile games market has boomed, there is no incentive to make console exclusives anymore. And games take so long to make these days.
yeah,
They take many years. I mean, the Dragon Age sequel to Inquisition is still being in production. Dragon Age Inquisition was actually released in 2014, and its sequel still hasn't been released yet, and it's been nearly a decade.
yeah, maybe it's stuck in development hell. That does happen. Maybe sort of like when Cyberpunk came out as a glitchy mess.
Oh,
Uh, I think they've sort of fixed it now, but I played that game on release, and it was just like
mm,
me-
likewise.
it
It's
was
the only
messed
game
up.
I've ever pre-ordered.
Hmm. Well, you didn't pick a good
Thankfully, I
one.
got my money back.
Ah, good on you. But yeah,
And I completed the game. 24 hours of gameplay.
fair enough.
Was not satisfied.
I think it's
Mm,
better now, but it's like they released their game in an obviously broken and unfinished state. So
mm.
they're sort of lucky that there wasn't.
Truly, the game. Yeah, it was truly the game that defined a generation for all the wrong reasons. Be
Yeah,
careful what you wish for. You'll get it.
yeah, I thought it was weird as well
Mhm.
because The Witcher 3, I think I played that on release and I don't remember it being like glitchy or broken. And The Witcher 2, I didn't play that on release, but they were like excellent,
It-
like well polished games. And then this comes out and it's just like more
well,
glitchy.
The Witcher 3, when it was released, it did have some problems, but it was largely ignored, mainly because of the fact that no one knew who CD Projekt Red really were in the mainstream
Hmm.
sense. But ever since it was released, its reputation started getting better and better, while other companies with their own releases, their reputation started to get worse and worse, like Mass Effect Andromeda or Fallout 76 or Anthem, all disastrous games, which were role playing games. And it really elevated The Witcher 3 to this iconic status. But when it was released, it did have some problems, and I've seen that with CD Project Red games. But people always used to give them the benefit of the doubt because they were up and coming.
Yeah.
Not so with Cyberpunk 2077. Mhm.
Well, I don't know. I think maybe I didn't play The Witcher on release, but I think I played it pretty close when it came out. I don't remember it being anywhere near as broken as Cyberpunk. Like
Mm,
that was on a level that made it look like that. Cyberpunk was on a level that was broken that made like Bethesda games on release seem like
exactly.
well polished.
Mm,
I don't know. Nintendo games they're usually pretty well polished.
mm,
Like it made Bethesda look good, and they've been releasing like buggy messes on release since like
mm.
Daggerfall. But anyways, Chad King asks, "Have you ever browsed 4chan?"
No, no, it's not really for me, my good man. I tried to stay away from 4chan and Reddit. People are more than welcome to speak their minds. It's just text based stuff isn't really for me. I only really use Twitter for publicizing my YouTube channel. I don't use Facebook. I tried using Instagram, but they won't let me follow anyone anymore, so I might as well pack that in too and put all my pictures either or my drawings or my the drawings that I take pictures of, put them on YouTube or Twitter instead. Mm.
All right, I'm just scrolling down. I don't know, for some reason Bronx Beats is saying Hail Satan in chat. Apparently, Bronx Beats also said that you got hacked by the 9 gag army. Is that true?
No,
Did you get hacked by
I
the
don't
9
know.
gag army?
To quote Thanos, I don't even know who you are.
Well, maybe they're just so good you didn't even notice. Jake Hudson asks, how are you doing today? So how are you doing, mate? Maybe I should have started off with that. How are you doing
Well,
today?
I'm doing fine. It's always good to see Jake. I hope he's doing well. We had a good conversation with him on reality based. And everybody's welcome to speak their minds, ladies and gentlemen. I think there's only one creator who I won't have on reality based. Her name is Mecha Random 42. Why? Because she showed a picture of a vagina. It might have been hers,
Ugh.
might not have been, but on a fellow creator's stream by the name of John Delarose.
Yeah, so
So
she
she's
porn
not on.
bombs.
My goodness, she is not going to be on reality based,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Well, yeah, when you do stuff like that, if you're like, that's just literally trying to get someone banned from YouTube when they
Exactly.
porn bomb in live streams.
Exactly.
That's why people are so skittish. Why they don't want to invite random people into
Yeah. Trust is harder
yeah.
to earn than gold or Bitcoin.
That's
Maybe I should
been
use
going up.
Bitcoin
That's
instead
been
of
going
gold.
up. So if you
Yeah.
have Bitcoin, you're doing pretty well for yourself.
Mhm.
I mean, unless you bought it a year ago when it
Yeah.
was like,
Buy low, sell high. It's like
uh,
stock market for cash,
yeah, no, I do the
basically.
4chan strategy of buying high and selling low.
My goodness, these people have clearly never seen a stock market. Hmm.
All right, what are we up to? Uh, right, Redmond Barry the second says,
Mhm.
"Have you reviewed Brian and Persip?" So those are sort of content
Oh.
creators that are sort of tangentially related to Ethan
Mm.
Ralph and Ethan Ralph haters. So
Oh. No, I haven't. I haven't given my thoughts on those two fellow creators. I usually don't take suggestions from like live stream chats because that means going back and combing through what has been said, and
yeah,
that takes up too much time. But if you want to suggest that to me, just go into the comments section of any one of my videos and ask my thoughts on this, and I'll write it down and make it into a suggestion video soon. So, yeah.
yeah, fair point.
Mm.
I guess at that point we've also got Echoven asking, "I'd love to hear Ryan's opinion of King of Pole." So that is Brian. No,
Mm.
is that Brian Dunn? I think they're different people. Maybe they're the same person. Maybe they're different people. I don't know.
Suggestions are always welcome in the comment section of any of my videos. I only have one tab up because of signaling issues or signal issues because I am using a Chromebook using a wireless system. So, yeah.
Cowboy asks, ask Ryan if he plays RuneScape. So do you play RuneScape, Ryan?
No, I do not, unfortunately. But I'll check it out and see if I enjoy what it has to offer.
Uh, I don't know, probably not. It's a pretty if you didn't play the game as a kid, you're probably not going to like it because it's a very sort of
Oh,
strange, grindy game. But I played it as a kid, so I sort of like it. But we'll see.
oh.
So you probably, I don't know. I guess you're not in my RuneScape clan yet. Giant, wait, what? Some of these comments are just bizarre. I got Cool Tactics saying Giant Egg Gang. I don't know even know what that is.
Oh, it's always best to let people speak their mind. Always.
What's some other questions? I'm just sort of scrolling through chat.
Mhm. That's fine.
The
Take
Japanese
all the time that
modernized.
you
This
want.
isn't a question, but it's just an interesting point.
Mhm.
Ekevan says the Japanese modernized in 40 years. They're an impressive race. Yeah, it is pretty impressive that
Mm,
before Japan, they had the decree where they weren't allowed to have any contact with foreigners, and foreigners weren't
mm,
allowed to set up embassies or trade with the
mm,
Japanese shoguns and warlords and stuff as a decree. But then
mm.
I think about what is it? I think the
From
Americans,
Yeah, they were basically westernized folks. Japan was occupied in late 1945.
yeah,
That occupation lasted until 1952. So America controlled Japan for 7 years and completely westernized it. And
There is.
from 1952 until today, they have gone leaps and bounds.
I think it's not just that. I assumed there is that, but also I assume Eckerman's actually talking about like in the 1865 when the Americans basically
Mm,
broke the Japanese embargo and was like, no, you have to trade with us. Within about
mm.
40 years, the Japanese went from sort of like a medieval, like, Iron Age society to like an industrial society on par
Yeah,
with like other European powers. So it is actually
they
really impressive.
radically transformed when the Tokugawa shogunate, the shogunate that controlled the emperor, that
Hmm.
basically isolated Japan for a good few hundred years. They were dismantled. The emperor was given his powers back, and the Meiji Restoration, I believe, of 1878 did away with the
Yeah.
old feudal Japan and brought Japan in as a European style colonial empire, which lasted until 1945, where Japan was westernized as a
Again.
sort of Asian American democracy, as it were,
So
with an
yes.
emperor.
So yeah, it sort of happened twice. So it is
Mm.
sort of impressive. Yeah. Birds of a feather, dummy. Yeah, exactly. You have to stick together, Hyper.
Many countries and many civilizations have been westernized over the last century. I mean, Germany, Japan, Italy to a certain extent, Spain to a certain extent, all of Eastern Europe, and to a lesser extent, Russia as well. But those Russians, they can take a bloody nose. I mean,
Hmm.
the Russia Ukrainian conflict is proof of that.
Bronx Beats asks, this is actually like not a stupid question like some of them were. Bronx Beats asks, what is Ryan Rodgers' favorite movie? We,
Oh, well, I don't think anyone will agree with me, actually. The My favorite movie, and it was a movie I watched as a kid, was Avatar. This this basically retelling of Dances with Wolves or
hmm.
Last Samurai, but all the science fiction, the graphics, the CGI, all of that. I thought it was a great film as an epic. Very simple story, but blown way out of proportions in all the right ways. And I haven't seen the sequel, but basically, folks, it's another one of those great epics that last 2.5, 3 hours, bombard you with all of these action scenes, all of these CGI, that sort of thing,
Yeah,
with a very simple story.
yeah. Well, if you thought the
Hmm.
story of the first one's simple, you should see the second one. It's even simpler. So I have seen it. So when you do see it, the
Yeah, but
story is
I
very,
always thought
very
that
simple.
I I always thought that those kinds of simple epic films, they always do well financially because they're designed, they're like shock and awe, and it causes you to switch your brain off because it's that intense, and it throws so much at you that you're mesmerized by it for a time. But on closer reflection, with a more detailed analysis, you can see problems with it. That's why
Hmm.
Avatar did so well when it was released, and that's why Avatar Way of the Water, Avatar 2, has also done as well.
Yeah, has it made
Although,
$2
if you
billion
factor
dollars yet?
in, well, I'm not sure, but it certainly has made a lot of money, and well, sequels to it I think will be made, but they'll be a lot closer, which could be its greatest weakness because you can mesmerize an audience once every 10 years, but can you do it once every 2 years? I don't think so.
Well, the thing with Avatar, what did you think about what was the gap between the original and the sequel? Like 12 years or something? It was ridiculous. Because I was
Yeah,
talking to
yeah.
some of my mates about it, and they're like,
Mhm.
"Yeah, Avatar's good, but why did they wait 12 years to do the sequel?" I mean, it is pretty crazy.
It's probably because the entertainment establishment didn't want it even to be made. They probably didn't want the first one to be made. James Cameron had to pull all sorts of favors to get the original done. Same with the second one, because there's something about those stories that modern day Hollywood doesn't want told by
Mate,
one reason or another.
the anti-technology message was too red-pilled.
Probably.
All right.
Mhm.
Chad King asks, what is Ryan's favorite Star Wars character? Is it Jar Jar
Oh,
Binks? That's my
no,
guess.
no, but I did find him entertaining as a kid. I'd say my most favorite character was Count Dooku.
Oh yeah.
This shoehorned in figure, because that character was not supposed to be in Attack of the Clones, and neither was General Grievous supposed to be in the Clone Wars animated series or Revenge of the
Yeah.
Sith. It was Jar Jar was the key to all this. You remember this, folks? Can you imagine Jar Jar as a Sith Lord taking on Yoda, a CGI fest of epic proportions? But the
I'd have been
character
pretty
was
retarded, honestly.
the character of Jar Jar was seen was so disliked. It was a different, in my view, it was a different kind of Palpatine, hiding in plain sight, but as this goofy ass loon instead of this politician figure. Beware the people who act like fools, folks, because they're the most cunning of the lot. So the character of Count Dooku and the character of General Grievous were really put in to cover that plan, as it were. So Christopher Lee, great actor of the age, did the character justice, but there was a lot to explore out of Count Dooku, which we are seeing to an extent with Disney Star Wars. But in terms of the character actor, it would have to be Count Dooku and Sir Christopher Lee. But in terms of action, it would be General Grievous.
Hmm.
4 lightsabers just spinning all the time, and the fact that he got his ass kicked. Because in reality, Grievous tries to scare his opponents into defeat. If his opponents are courageous, he loses and
Yeah.
runs away. So
Good point. That's all good. I'm just sort of halfway reading chat. So, I guess from there, this wasn't actually asked, but I guess which one's actually your favorite Star Wars movie then?
oh, it would have to be Revenge of the Sith,
Oh,
mainly
really?
because of the fact, yeah, mainly because of the fact that the villain actually wins, like
Hmm.
completely and utterly, and we
Yeah,
rarely
yeah.
see that. We rarely see that in television or movies. So that's the main reason. And it was really because the script wasn't the best. They were never really the best in the prequels, but the action adventure aspect of it was really the pinnacle of George Lucas's mind, whereas Empire Strikes Back was the pinnacle of Lucas's vision in regards to the heart. So
I guess another follow-up question from that is, what's your
mhm.
opinion on sand and do you hate it?
No, I don't mind sand. I live far away from sand.
You don't
So,
you don't mind that it's coarse, rough, and gets everywhere?
my goodness. No, it's fine. It's the sunburn I don't like.
Yeah, sunburn is pretty bad. That is true.
Mm.
Treemaster Bob's. Oh wait, that's not really a question. Uh, Bronx Beat says Cyberpunk is fixed now. Yeah, I thought it was, but when it came out, it was
Mm.
broken
Yeah, but it was built.
garbage.
Well, it was built for the PS4 and the Xbox One. So bear that in mind, folks. It was not built for the PS5 or the Xbox series of consoles. It was an 8th generation game.
Hmm.
And on those consoles, Cyberpunk 2077 was absolute wank.
Hmm.
And still is. Because I have a friend, a fellow creator by the name of Sir Talks a Lot, who's doing gaming playthrough of Cyberpunk 2077 on the Xbox One,
Mhm.
and he suffered numerous crashes on Twitch to
Yeah.
the point where they have corrupted streams so he can't put them on YouTube replay. So yeah.
Ah, really?
Hmm.
Well, speaking of crashes, I've been playing the game Dark Tide.
Oh.
It's like a Warhammer 40k game. The
Ah.
gameplay's all right,
Mhm.
but that game just crashes all the time. It's bloody stupid, so it's sort of annoying.
If the studio is small, people will give it the benefit of the doubt. If its budget is tight, people will give it the benefit of the doubt. These companies who make awful product, their reputations would be nowhere near as bad if they had a shoestring budget and not a lot of people working on it. But they don't. They have a lot of money and they have a lot of skilled technical people and they still produce wank.
Uh,
So,
fair enough. Well, Cool
hmm.
Tactics says that you should play a game called Baldur's Gate 2.
Oh,
I think it's an
I think
RPG, but
I've
it's an
heard of
older
it.
one. I think it's from like
Hmm.
the early 2000s, maybe. I haven't actually played it,
Hmm.
but I played games like
Well,
Arcania.
I'm a fan of BioWare games
Hmm.
until recently, especially with Anthem, which was god awful. The best thing about it was you could cosplay as Iron Man. That's it.
Yeah, I heard that game sucks, so I didn't even bother.
Hmm. Well, that's what happens when a single player RPG based gaming developer develops an online only fucking multiplayer fest. It's like a fish out of water.
Hyper says, I'm open to anyone donating me the giant Millennium Falcon Legos. Send it to me and I'll 100% stream building it. Well, there you go.
Oh, that probably costs a lot of money
Hmm.
and is not easy to come by. Just an assumption, but that's probably the reason why he's willing to go to such lengths to have it.
I think Hyper's a she, as far as I'm aware.
Oh my! You see, folks, I can't tell. I can't tell. That reminds me of a story where I thought a very prominent creator was transgender when she wasn't.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
Bronx
apparently, I
Meats
can't tell the difference.
Bronx Meats says, sorry, just got to clear my throat. Bronx Meats says,
Right.
three is 3-4 paying him for this? So am I paying you? The
No,
answer is no. We're both
I
doing it.
wish.
We're both
I
doing it.
wish.
We're both doing it for free. We both get paid as much as a janitor on 4chan. So we're both doing it for free.
I wish 3-4 the second was paying me. I really do. I don't make money doing this, folks. I mean, donations are always welcome, but donations don't classify as revenue. So I haven't earned anything. I think I've only gotten 2 donations in 16 months, and they were fairly reasonable sums. One for about £20, and another for, I think it was £45, which is quite a lot, especially if you're poor. But they are, at the end of the day, donations. They are gifts. They are not classified as revenue. So the tax man can't lynch me from the nearest lamppost. Hmm.
Fair enough. I
Hmm.
mean, 65 big ones isn't, oh, it's not really, well, sort of a big one. A pound's a big one. 65
Hmm.
isn't too bad as a net haul.
Hmm.
Bronx Pete says, didn't they let Chris Chan have Legos in prison? I don't know, maybe. Is he even in prison anymore? I thought he went to like a mental institution. I don't know. I don't really.
People like Chris Chan should be put in those fucking asylums. That's what happened, folks. We let all the lunatics out of the asylums by closing the asylums, and they became lol cows on the internet. It's quite simple. Just rebuild the asylums, reopen them, and chuck all these fucking lunatics into them.
Oh no.
Quite simple.
I accidentally like scrolled and lost my place in the chat, so now I've probably got to miss a whole bunch of questions. um, oh well, I guess we'll just go from here.
Sure.
Oh,
Unfortunately,
okay.
I can't see the chat because one tab.
Okay, so Raymond Barry II says, do you go to a barber for that Kubrick look, or do you just do it yourself?
Folks, I'm telling you, it's bloody awful combing this damn hair. You've got to wait for it to dry after getting out of the bath and cleaning, and then trying your best to comb it, and hopefully it doesn't have any imperfections. But that's a once in a blue moon event if we don't have any imperfections. But I will say that I do try my best, and here I am.
Warriors of Shire says, anime is a good enough excuse to drop another nuke. Debatable. Some of that crap is pretty shit.
Hmm.
Echovan says anime's based. I don't know about that.
Revenge takes many forms, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, so we got Chad King saying, "What's your thoughts on
Mhm.
Mesopotamia?" So ancient
Oh,
Mesopotamia. What's your thoughts on
well,
that?
some people consider it to be the birthplace of civilization. But the problem with our history, folks, is that most of it that we're aware of was written down, and before that it was spoken. So, knowing the origins of humanity, well, it's not really possible to know the full extent of human origin. That's why evolution, it's a theory, just like creation is a theory, because there is no determined fact of how human beings came to be. It's a damn shame, but it is what it is. You believe whatever you want to believe. But Mesopotamia, that region, as far as I'm aware, was one of the birthplaces of civilization. In fact, that is close to the origins of what we would consider to be European people. I mean, you had the Europeans in what is now the Upper Middle East, and then you had the Arabs in Arabia, and then the Arabs kicked our asses out of the Middle East and into Europe, where we turned the pagans into Christians, and the Arabs took over the Middle East, North Africa, and parts of Southern Europe. That's why there are Arabs all over the Middle East. They conquered it,
Mm.
and we didn't reconquer it. It's quite simple. That's why when people say that the ancient Egyptians were black, they weren't. They
We
weren't
was
even Arab.
kings.
Hmm. They were white Europeans that settled the North Africa region.
Yeah, well, depending on the dynasty, I mean, some of them were literal
Hmm.
Greeks, so.
Exactly. Conquerors. Territories are conquered all the time. I mean, paganism was the foundation of Europe until the Christians conquered the European regions after fleeing from the Arab world. So, yeah, I mean, look at Russia and its religion. Started off in Rome, and then the Roman Empire collapsed, and they fled to the Byzantine Empire, which was I believe it was the Eastern Roman Empire.
Yeah.
And then when Byzantine was ripped apart by the Ottoman Turks, the Islamic horde, as some would like to call them, the Byzantines fled to what is now considered Russia and the Duchy of Moscow, which evolved into the Russian Empire. So yeah, people try their best to survive, folks.
Yeah. Bronx Beat says, "Do you like PewDiePie?"
I think he's a figure of inspiration for many creators. Is he the most successful creator? Well, up until recently he was, and I think Mr. Beast uh, surpassed him.
Oh, really?
But he is someone who is a historic figure in content creation. And for many years, I think for about a decade, he was the most successful content creator. I mean, he was so successful, folks, that he was the most popular content creator on YouTube, beating creator enterprises and beating not only creator corporations, but actual corporations.
Yeah.
The only reason T Series passed him was because they have an audience of over 1 billion people and they've cornered the music market in India. So, yeah, that's why they are where they are.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Beast is bigger. I just checked. That's
Mm.
crazy. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
he recently passed him, but uh, no one is perfect, folks. PewDiePie had his time to shine. He hasn't faded away and will most likely not fade away. His legacy will be established for many decades to come. But he's now living the high life. I think he's married now,
Yeah, he's
and
married.
he's doing his own thing.
Yeah.
So more power to him.
I mean,
I
he's
think
still
he's a
making
great guy.
videos. So, I mean, he's
Oh,
been making
well, that's good.
videos. He's been making videos for like 15 years, and as
Mm,
far as I'm aware, he's still going. He's still getting like
yeah.
millions of views per video. So he's still going pretty strong and probably
Mm.
making the big bucks from it. Although there was that one time like the ADL tried to shut down PewDiePie. That was pretty crazy.
Establishment. versus the alliance of alternatives. Doesn't matter if you're a big name or a big fish or a little fish. You're an enemy of the establishment. And one of their lackeys is going to try and bring you down a notch. So, yeah, it's just another battle in the war.
All right, let's keep looking.
Sure.
I'm just seeing if there's any more questions. Bronx Beat says Micro Machines is the best N64 game. I don't think I've played
Oh,
Micro Machines. So,
well,
I
the
don't know.
N64 is older than me, so the last mainstream cartridge-based console or conventional. I mean, the Switch uses cartridges, I think, small ones, but it's not a conventional games console. So the N64 is the last conventional cartridge-based gaming console from 1996 until 2002.
Eric the Chump says
Hmm.
Ryan was like 5 when Revenge of the Sith came out. No, probably.
Yeah,
If he
yeah,
was born
around
in
5, 6 years
1999.
old. Hmm.
Hyper says new Star Wars fans have weird tastes. Oh, well,
Hmm.
different strokes for different folks, I suppose.
Hmm. The sequel trilogy was god awful.
Yeah.
I mean, the maker of Star Wars, George Lucas, when he made the original Star Wars film in 1977, it's like an independent gaming company makes $1 billion game in sales.
Yeah.
That's what it was like. And the Star Wars franchise was the largest independent entertainment franchise I think the Western world had ever seen. And he sells it to Disney
Yeah.
of all companies. I mean, why not Comcast, who do Universal, or why not? I don't think Netflix was that big back
Well, I
then.
mean, with
But
Universal going off like STD, Star Trek, it's probably not the best. It
I
probably
think
would have
that's
been pretty bad.
Paramount.
Oh, is that
I think
Paramount?
that's yeah, that's Paramount
Oh,
and
my bad.
CBS. But oh Christ, could you imagine bloody Paramount buying Star Wars? God. But it's not as if Disney were the only choice.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not a businessman. I don't make business decisions. I try to keep money out of the situation because it's not about making money. It's about proving a point. Or if I can speak my mind, so can you. And we can all try our best to keep that ideal alive of freedom of speech, freedom of thought, freedom of expression. Because without it, tyranny will rise. And with technology, it will never fall.
Yeah, well, a lot
Just
of
look at
people don't
China.
want free speech anymore, especially the big media corporations. They're probably
Be
the worst.
careful what you wish for, is what I tell them.
Yeah. Hyper asks, what's your favorite Indiana Jones villain?
Oh, it's been a while since I watched Indiana Jones. Although I will say, folks, my favorite is actually the one that isn't well liked. I think it
What,
was
Crystal Skull?
yes,
Yeah.
because it was released when I was a kid, when I was younger. So I first watched it as a child, and I really enjoyed it, especially that weird-looking Soviet woman with the funny hair.
Yeah.
So that's probably my favorite Indiana Jones villain. But yeah, I might as well watch the others. May not watch the one that's due for release because
Yeah, they're
look, it's
making another
Harrison
one now.
Ford in a Zimmer frame.
Yeah, he was already pretty old in that Star Wars one, so he's like 80
Hmm.
now, so. I mean, people made fun of Crystal Skull because Indiana Jones was like 65 in that, and now
Yeah,
he's like 80. And they're making another one.
some people don't know when to let go because
Yeah.
everyone has their time to shine, but you can't keep that lightning in a bottle forever, folks. You just can't.
Cowboy asks, what is Ryan most disgusted by? So what's the something you're disgusted by, Ryan?
Oh, well, let's get the obvious ones out of the way: the rapists, the pedophiles, the child murderers, that sort of thing. The universally despised people, like cucks. You know,
That
and that sort of thing. People who defy reality
are not
and
reality based.
reality, yeah, people who deny or defy reality and reality defies or denies them. Because you can see it in people who deny reality. They degrade, they disintegrate.
Yeah. Yeah, sort of
So,
like trannies and all that sort of stuff.
hmm,
It's like an
and
obvious example of people denying reality. They're like
exactly.
denying themselves.
Decadence, corruption comes back to haunt you, folks. You do deals with devils, you're going to pay the price somewhere down the line. Which is a damn shame, but that's the price of freedom. You give people freedom to choose their own destiny, and they choose to ruin their own lives. But that's the price you have to pay for freedom.
I guess on that note, what
Hmm.
would be the most like disgusting, horrible person you ever done like a my thoughts on, for example, before? What's the most like
Whew.
biggest degenerate you've ever covered in one of your videos?
Jack Murphy.
Jack Murphy. Fair enough.
Because he mainly because of the hypocrisy.
Yeah.
And that's another thing I despise, but it's something all humans do. All humans are hypocritical. Never once in our lives will we not be hypocritical because people change their minds over time. It's inevitable. But he was selling an alpha male lifestyle
Yeah, while
through
he was
the
a literal
luminal,
cock.
hmm, while all the while being a literal cuck. That's why I call him the alpha cuck. He's a contradiction in terms.
Hmm.
And that was the thing people really didn't like. So, yeah, denying. Not only was he hypocritical, he did not tell the truth, and he was selling people a lie. So, yeah, that's the most despicable, in my view.
Warriors of the Shire says, what's the best Terminator movie?
Ooh, ooh, very difficult question. Of course, there's only one of two. It's T1 or T2.
Yeah.
Uh, Just like with Alien and
Oh, I thought you were going
Aliens,
to give like an out of field answer, like say that it's
like
like Dark
Terminator
Tide or whatever.
Salvation.
Yeah, Salvation or something.
No, but that's a sort of question like, what's the best Alien film? And people
Hmm.
either say Alien or Aliens, because same with Terminator and Terminator 2. One is primarily an action film, the other one's primarily a horror-based action
Hmm.
film. Because Alien and Terminator really freaked people out, not just
Yeah.
on an action, but in terms of fear. Whereas Aliens and Terminator 2 were mainly action based. But what do we need more of? We need more Aliens and T2. It would be nice to have more Alien and more Terminator, but they're just too slow for the modern audience,
Well, they made that new
unfortunately.
Terminator. I don't know. They made a couple, didn't they? Like a couple new ones within like the last 5 or 6
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
And I don't think they any of them did really like they all did
No,
pretty bad or something. So,
because none of them are really innovative
hmm.
like Terminator 2 was for the time. I mean, by today's standards, the T1000 is generic, but in 1991, it was a great innovation. Something really out of left field needs to be considered for a new Terminator. And it's difficult because people have more access to entertainment. People are more imaginative than ever before. So creating something truly unique is extremely difficult. I was thinking of maybe a Terminator that rips a part of itself, throws it at you, consumes you, and then turns you into a Terminator. a sort of a sort of T1000 virus, as it were.
Yeah.
Something out of left field, integrating different things together, or turning a piece of plastic into and morphing it into a sword to throw at you and then stab you or kill you. Something like that.
So
Something truly horrifying that Terminator grasps the horror factor of this unstoppable machine with the action adventure part.
So you're going to be submitting a Terminator script to Hollywood, or I don't know what company owns Terminator these
Hmm.
days, with your plastic morphing Terminator or
Yeah,
something like that.
inspired by like Alien,
Yeah.
the Xenomorph, or the T-1000, or the TX. All a new thing is nowadays is just a collection of many different things and putting them together.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to be truly unique in this day and age, unfortunately.
Yeah. This is actually, I was meant to ask this before, but I sort of forgot. So
Mm.
there's actually another series you do called Tales of the Southland. Can you give us a
Yes.
quick rundown of what Tales of the Southland is and how you sort of came about the idea? Because it's sort of like a fantasy world. I'll let you
Hmm.
explain it.
Well, basically, folks, I saw that Lord of the Rings was going to basically get slaughtered
Yeah.
way back in 2019. Rings of Power was inevitable, and Game of Thrones still hasn't been finished. I know they quote finished it, but the books haven't been finished. So I was thinking of creating my own story inspired by Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, Dragon Age, Greedfall, which was a recent, well, I'd say recent, it's 3 years old, a release from Spiders Games. And this sort of high fantasy story. We finished the first age, which is the rise and the fall of the Samaran Empire, this human supremacist empire that
Hmm.
conquers the Southland, enslaves all the elves and dwarves and beasts, and they ally with the Gormarans, who are the free humans who don't like slavery. And ultimately, over the course of 1,000 years, Samara rises, and then it gradually falls when an alliance of the free people, that
Yeah.
of Gomara, Stonland, and Natcher, which is what I call the Elven lands, band together with the Navan Sea Nation. Like, think of naval anarchists who work together to oppose government of all sorts, and all of them work with another state by the name of the Vord Corporation, just a standard, corporation as a government, and they all work together to take on the Samaran Empire and ultimately defeat it. But they don't destroy it
Right. Yep.
because there's a faction within Samara called the Loyalists, ravenous beast creatures who corrupt everything they touch. And it was ultimately Samara's legions that turn against the loyalists, and that's how the battle for the Southland is won by this great alliance, because those loyalists, folks, so fucked up
Yeah.
that even their own side turned on them. When you capture civilians and butcher them, eat them, rape them while you eat them, and slaughter them, because that's how they got their power, through suffering and pain, decadence and corruption. So the
Yeah, it's pretty
second
messed
age
up.
is due to be, yes, it is. That's what the loyalists are supposed to represent, the dark side of humanity and power and lust and hate, that sort of thing. But the second story for Tales of the Southland I'm currently writing, what was it called again? The Time of the Triad, because it's basically the Southland is divided between Samara, Gomara, Vordavar, and Neva, and they're all vying for supremacy over the territory.
Hmm.
So who wins? I
Who
don't know.
knows? I don't know,
Not
mate.
yet.
Who knows? You have to
Maybe
s-
no one
you'll
wins.
have to tune
Maybe
in to find
everyone.
out.
But what you've seen in regards to Tales of the Southland, those episodes are based on something that I have written
Yeah.
fully. It's just a question of releasing it.
I have to get that published or something. But Chad King says, "Do you know about Ralph?" So I assume that's Ethan Ralph. What do you know about Ralph?
Oh,
What's your
Ethan
thoughts on
Ralph.
him?
I've heard about Ethan Ralph. I think he's very entertaining, especially when he went to Portugal. What are you doing in Portugal, Ralph? Why are you getting beaten
Hmm.
up in Portugal? But he's a very interesting figure. I've always been intrigued by the idea of kill stream and blood sport,
Yeah.
but from the perspective of analysis. I mean, looking at how these creators interact with one another and try to take each other down, that sort of thing. Because then you can learn, and then if you ever if you're ever in that situation, you can learn from the mistakes of others and succeed as a result. But I'm not really a fan of getting into the trenches, but you never know. I don't mind Ethan Ralph. He's most likely very controversial, but
He's very
we need
controversial.
controversial. We need controversial people, folks.
If he's
Even if we don't
controversial,
like. Mhm.
if he's controversial in the right way or the wrong way, that's sort of up to interpretation.
Well, best of luck to him, and hopefully he can keep on going and keep on growing.
Yeah, true.
Hmm.
Bronx Beats asked, does Ryan believe aliens and UFOs are real? Have you ever been
Yes.
abducted by an alien?
No, I've never been abducted by an alien, but the fact, ladies and gentlemen, that humanity is the only, you know, civilized creature in all of creation, to me is laughable. Aliens either do exist or have existed, because the universe is a very old and big place. For all we know, it could be a civilized race per galaxy, for
Yeah,
all we know. But if we do have all of this galaxy to ourselves, because we can't go to others, even with the most insane of technology, I don't think we can go from galaxy to galaxy.
yeah.
But
Well, not in a reasonable amount of time, maybe
mm,
over a billion year time
mhm.
period you could.
but if this galaxy is for ours to conquer, and I do say conquer, then let's civilize it. Because look, life should prevail. Life must prevail if we are to succeed, if we are to grow.
Hmm.
And could you imagine if we took our entire solar system? We would be like gods. Or if we created machines to conquer the galaxy, we would be, in a sense, like mythic beings, and these machines would be the people who do all the dirty work. I say people because they have to be that smart in order to go up there and do all those things. And aliens are like, have you ever heard of a human? And then the other alien says, don't mention that name. The machines will get you.
Hmm.
Like we become these mythic figures who are very powerful, but we just live in our own solar system while our machines conquer the galaxy. So I do think aliens are real. For all we know, humanity could be an alien species because we don't interact with our planet the way other animals do. I mean, other animals and creatures try to live within their ecosystem, whereas we humans, we go to an ecosystem, we utilize its resources, we grow and we spread. Unlike any other organic creature that we are aware of, at least from mammals and reptiles and that sort of thing. So, for all we know, we could be the aliens. You
Whoa,
just
buddy.
don't know.
Mate, it's just like the movie Avatar where the humans are the aliens. Whoa, mate. Well, anyways, we've got Ghost Niccolo asking, what does Ryan think of roving internet gangs across the internet?
Oh, first I've heard of it. But, folks, people go from place to place, they roam from town to town, as it were, and I sort of do that. I go from channel to channel, I discover all
Actually,
sorts of different creators and enterprises and topics and
yeah.
people. So maybe I'm a roaming internet band, and all the people who watch are roaming with me. So you never know. You just never know.
Eric the Chump says, I want Ryan to have a debate with Warhammer. I'm not sure what you guys would debate, but there you go. Apparently, someone wants you to have a debate.
Well, I'm more a fan of just having a good talk because it's very difficult, folks, for me to dislike you on a personal level. I may not like what you do as a content creator, but it would be very difficult for you to actually have me dislike you as a person because we're all trying our best to live life the way we want. It's not easy, never easy. It's never easy. Nothing good ever comes easy,
Yeah.
in my view. So it'd be nice to have a good talk about a wide variety of topics and people.
Yeah, well, like I said before, if you want to get in contact with Ryan, you should message him on Twitter because that's how I got in
Yeah.
contact with him.
Mhm.
Bronx Feet says, can my friend Hyper get a shout out? So,
Oh, hello! Not shout out. Blooper. Hello, shout out. Here's your hyper. Hello, hyper. Here's your shout out. I hope you're doing well.
It's a very epic shout out.
Mhm.
I might have to start wrapping this up soon because I have other stuff I
Sure,
want to do today. So
sure.
I'll probably take another couple questions, maybe
Mhm.
one or two, and then I might just wrap it up. Warriors of Shire says, "What's your thoughts on Pepsi Man?"
Oh, I don't know. Doesn't spring anything to mind. Maybe you should put that in the comments section of one of my videos, and then I can make a suggestion video out of it.
Yeah, there you go. Be sure to put it
Mm.
in the comments. Chad King asks, "What is your favorite Roman emperor?"
Oh, now. It's always the mad ones that stay in my head. But I would have to say Caesar. I mean, all hail Caesar as he crosses the Rubicon and begins the beginning of his own demise. That's why you should never trust people completely, folks. I mean, Caesar trusted Mark Antony after he defected from Pompey the Great. Same for Brutus, who was part of Pompey's crew and defected to Caesar. Never fully trust people
Yeah.
because they can and will stab you in the back, just like with Caesar.
Well, I don't think Caesar technically was declared an emperor. He was still a dictator when he was
Mm.
assassinated. So I don't. I
Well,
guess that's
what about his successor? I think it was
Augustus.
yes, who really tried his best to sort out the mess of Caesar's death. So
Hmm.
yes, Augustus.
So yeah. So there you go. Unless you mean Tiberius Caesar, that's sort of like a different person though. But he sort of like was considered a somewhat mediocre emperor. But I assume you don't mean him.
No.
Um. Well, I'm just looking through the chat, and when we started mentioning
Mhm.
Terminator, it sort of got to a bit of a sort of heated debate. Some people like Terminator 2, some people like
Mhm.
Terminator 1.
Mhm.
Let's say the stunts in T2 are way cooler. I don't know. So that sort of got a lot of people interested.
Hmm. Take the
That's
best of both. Take the
yeah,
horror aspects of the first, the action and CGI of the second, put them both together. You'll have a great film, but it has to be something innovative. A Terminator design that maybe doesn't take human form, takes the form of an animal or of a vehicle or just some crazy shit where it's not hunting one person but many people and it kills many of those people by, say, a dog bite or by pretending to be a person's car and then crushing the person inside the car. Something off the wall like that.
yeah, fair enough. All right.
Hmm.
I'm just saying this to chat. I was sort of scrolled up in the chat, so I've sort of come back to what the chat is now. I sort of haven't actually had a look at the current
Okay.
chat for about an hour because I've been trying to read questions. So, so now I'm in live chat. If I missed your questions, I'm sorry, but
Hmm.
sort of running out of time. So,
Hmm.
Zod says, "Can Ryan do a channel review live?"
Oh,
I don't know. It seems like that's
that's
sort of on the
that
spot.
that wouldn't be easy because
Well, he needs to do his
you got to
research
do a bit of
first.
yeah, you got to do a bit of investigating. If I could do it live, I would, but it's hard enough for me to read scripts right in front of me. Never mind thinking off of the top of my head. So, unfortunately, I will have to decline that request. But suggestions are always welcome in the comments section of a video or even in the comments section of this live stream if and when it ends.
There you go. Um, we got is Ryan MGTOW. Are you part of the MGTOW movement, Ryan?
Men going their own way. It's a very interesting topic. I think I've talked about it before. But when you live in a civilization that it's getting more and more feminine, folks, away from industry to services, then from services to technology, less physical labor, testosterone levels going through the floor, tap water making people gay, that sort of thing. And I wouldn't say so. No, no, because we need men being masculine and women being feminine. And the more of that we can get, the better. And the more we can steer away from things that deny reality, that are decadent, that are corrupt, that do not save our civilization, the more we can stay away from that, the better for not just ourselves, but for future generations. So I don't think so. There are advantages to men going their own way and being their own people, but in terms of civilization, it is damaging. But
Hmm.
I can understand why men want to go their own way.
Well, there you go. You heard it
Mm.
first. Very epic and red-pilled answer. um, what's your opinion? Oh, this is sort of like, what's your opinion on the gym clone? So it's like, what's your opinion on Mr. Medica, if you know who that is, and all the people that tried to
Oh,
copy him?
Jim.
So that Jim.
I've heard that he hasn't been in good health, which is not a good way to go, folks, as a creator. It just goes to show that everyone has their time and everything ends. But I think he puts his points across very well. Some things I agree with him on, some I don't. He's a very prominent creator, likes to speak his mind, but he's not perfect, although we could say that about everyone. But I have no problem with him as a creator or on a personal level. He's tried his best to gain his audience by any and all means possible, and he is where he is. I just hope that he has a speedy recovery, if that is possible, and he keeps on going for many more years to come, both as a creator and as a person.
Yeah, there you go. But what do you think about the people that try to copy him and sort of like steal his clout?
Oh, well, copycats are to be expected because fellow creators use established creators of any size as inspiration. But a simple copy based format, that's not something I would agree with because putting your own spin on things is a good thing. I'm not a fan of copycats, but it really does take all sorts to be a creator. At least put something in it that is you, that makes it yours.
All right, this is the last question from the
Mhm.
audience. Chad King asks, if you're a horror movie blooper, if you were a horror movie monster, which one would you
Mm.
be?
The thing,
The thing.
without hesitation.
Well, the thing is like multiple. Well, it's not quite multiple beings, but it sort of becomes multiple beings. That's pretty
Yeah,
epic.
it's essentially the concept of trying to survive no matter what and spreading without end. That's why it's so important. You've got to stop this thing by any and all means possible because if it gets out, it'll go everywhere. And that
Yeah,
is terrifying. And not knowing who to believe or who to trust. That aspect too, because trust is vital. But when you're facing a creature that can be anyone without them knowing, really takes Among Us to a whole different level, doesn't it? So the thing.
there you go. Well, anyways, that's it for the viewer questions. Thanks, guys. You had a lot of crazy, interesting, and sometimes bizarre questions, so I was glad I was able to
And so
relay that.
much the better. The
I was,
so much the better.
I was glad I was able to relay that to Ryan from the chat. But anyways, I got to wrap it up. I got to go do some like
Oh.
shopping and stuff and some errands I need to do.
Mhm.
So I thought this was only going to go for like an hour, hour and a half. It's already gone for like 2 hours. So there you go. I guess before we go, Ryan, what's your channels? I'll probably edit the description, so I'll put them in there. So
Mhm.
what's your channels? Where can people find you? I guess give yourself a plug.
Oh, sure. Well, thank you all very much for watching this live stream. I hope you enjoyed it as well as all the bloopers that were within it. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe to Third for the Second, and I'm sure you will enjoy what he has to offer. As for me, you can find me at Ryan Rodger Athay on YouTube, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Twitch. You can also find me on Facebook, but I don't really use it. So, yeah, just type that in, Ryan Rodger Athay, and hopefully you will enjoy what I have to offer. Blooper.
Blooper right at the end. Yeah, nearly got
Yeah.
it.
Not bad for not using a damn script. So you can find me at Ryan Rodger Athay.
Well, there you go. Well,
Oh look, a hate symbol. A hate symbol.
mate,
My
you're
goodness, the
gonna get
world will end.
cancelled, mate. The ADL's gonna cancel you. Well, anyways, yeah, thanks for everyone to tuning in. It was good to have you, Ryan. It was a good and pleasant discussion.
Hmm?
Went for a bit longer than I was expecting. That's probably a good thing. It means that time flew by and we're too involved with the questions and it was too interesting. So there you go. It's good to have you here. Thanks for coming on. Yeah, if you like the interview, be sure to subscribe to my channel. I mostly do gaming videos, but maybe I'll try to do some more interviews in the future, try and mix it up. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you thought it was epic. Hope everyone in chat and you, Ryan, stay blessed, not stressed. See you guys later.
Bye for now, folks.